Do you want to know how to not self-sabotage a healthy relationship? It's a great question. And if this is something you are worried about, that means that, like me, you got some work to do. But first, I want to congratulate you for having the emotional intelligence to understand that this may be a problem for you. That's a beautiful insight that very few people are willing to look at. And unless we have healed ourselves, we're likely bringing some dysfunction into our relationship. In fact, even if you've healed yourself, you're going to bring dysfunction to a relationship. Your healing never ends. So what this means is that we all bring problems. No one is perfect. However, if you don't take the time to heal the wounds from your past failed relationships, we will carry those wounds with us to the new place, and we are doomed to repeat the same cycle that we just walked out of. This self-sabotage returns us to the toxic mess we know rather than to a new, clean place of health where we can thrive. I love this quote from, I believe it's the Old Testament or the New Testament. I couldn't tell you right now. It might be, it's in the Bible, and it says that you return like a dog to its vomit. It's a gross image. It kind of hits me a little bit visceral because I don't like vomit, but that is what we do. We return like dogs to our vomit when we choose to ignore why something failed in the past. So the first thing that we need to do when we are struggling, if you begin to feel like I don't know how to deal with this myself, is get professional help. So you can uncover your attachment patterns, your triggers, your wounds, the things that you have not healed yet, and approach them in a valuable way that will allow you to overcome them so you can build a sense of worth and not shrink in the face of strength when you're in the presence of someone who is healthy and ready to engage with you. If you haven't done any work to heal these things, you really aren't going to be in a healthy relationship. And when you're with somebody that it's exciting, it's just the chemistry of something new. You've got to fix the real issue before you can move on. So, number one, get professional help. A lot of us, we go out, we try, you'll get a therapist and you go in, you don't feel like anything happens, and so then you quit. I tried, and they didn't work. They were lousy. Well, you know what? Keep trying. I just actually had a period of time. I'm in therapy generally all the time for years now. And I move. I don't stay with one therapist. When I get to a point where I don't feel like it's moving the needle and I'm not progressing, I end that. And then I look at a different modality or a different process, a different person, and I go try that. And I keep moving. I'll do one session. And if I walk out of that session and I don't feel like the needle's going to move for me, I'm done. I'll never meet that therapist again. If, in fact, something happens, I begin to engage and I move on. So treat your therapist like dating. Find that one that you have chemistry with, where you feel like the needle's moving, where you feel like you're diving into stuff and you're uncovering things. Be consistent in persisting to find that therapist that works for you. I had a gap of probably 4 months between my last therapist and the one that I have now. It took me that long to find somebody. And frankly, there were a few times I encountered some people that it was so disturbing when I was done, I just almost felt like giving up. I'd give myself a break, rest on it, and then when I realized I need to work on this stuff, go back out there and try again. All right? So find some professional help. We all need it. Number 2, identify triggers that are in your environment. What are the things when you are out with people, when you're with a girl you're interested in, or if you're a woman and you're a guy, what are those triggers that set you off, that put you on edge, that make you respond in a way that you don't think warrants the excessive emotion that you have for that moment? If you can identify those, well, that's why you got professional help. If you can identify those, then once you've developed that understanding, begin to work on those triggers so you can walk into those spaces that used to trigger you and be calm. Don't let triggers control your life. Don't hide from them until you never have to face them. Fix the wound that makes you respond with aggression so that you can walk back into that space and it's like rain running down your back. It's nothing. After you've done that, you have to build your own sense of value, your own sense of self-worth. If you have dealt with professional help and uncovered all the things you need to, looked at your triggers, you know what you've got to go at, and you have a method of advancing yourself and becoming stronger so you're not triggered, you need to really hold your value. Because if you want to find someone that is healthy and strong and full of their own sense of value, not bravado, but a true sense of who they are and a true love for themselves, then you must first bring that for yourself. You will not be able to receive or accept the love of somebody that is willing to give it to you until you love yourself to the level that you believe you wish to be loved. And that's a tricky thing sometimes. So can you look in the mirror and love yourself with all of the compassion and kindness and warmth that you hope will be given to you in the gaze of another? You won't get it. You may get chemistry. You may get excitement. You may get a flash of passion. But you will not get that deep and abiding love that you are dying to have until you provide it first for yourself. That is a true thing, and it's honestly very hard to hold sometimes. But if you want that kind of, not dysfunctional, right? You want to get to a place where you're like letting go of all the past. That's so essential. I can't harp on it enough. So I want to tell you a story, right? I went through a divorce, and in that first year, I put myself out on dating apps. I was like, oh, I'm going to see what this is like. It was in the middle of COVID, right? 2020. I couldn't meet anybody, but I was isolated. I was alone, living by myself, and I'm thinking, I honestly wanted to date just to have a conversation with somebody, just to meet you on, be able to sit 6 feet from you outside somewhere and just talk to you, just have a human interaction, right? And this is kind of where I was coming from. And I felt broken, and I felt beat up, and I felt like I wasn't good enough because I'd been rejected, been thrown out of my house in my relationship. And I just was feeling really, really struggling about who I was and my value and my worth and all of these things. And on dating apps, the women that liked me, I didn't feel reflected kind of my experience of what I had had, my expectations. I felt like I would be able to find more compelling women than the ones I was encountering. And the women that I was encountering were all emotionally really struggling like me, you know? They weren't there. They were just like me, looking for some sort of affirmation outside of themselves. And I wasn't attracted to these people. And I wanted to find somebody that I would be attracted to. And I was so shocked that I was like, what's going on? Why can't I find anybody? And I know that dating online is very different than in person, but it just seemed really, it bothered me, right? I kept working on a bunch of stuff. I was in therapy, working through issues with myself. And then I had a significant breakthrough. And at the point I had this significant breakthrough, I was able to let go of the belief that the failure of my relationship was the reflection of who I was as a person. I was able to understand that the things that I had been triggered by, the things that I had been hiding from, the things that I had been holding back were no longer issues that I had to hide or be embarrassed about or anything. And in that space where I truly sensed, I've got value. I actually like who I am. That change, that mental change of really turning and understanding, yeah, I like me. I like me in this space without changing anything on my dating apps. It was astounding. All of a sudden, I was getting liked by women that I was like, wow, she seems really amazing. She's attractive. She says cool stuff. She's well-spoken. It blew my mind. And I had not changed a picture. a word, nothing on my dating apps. It had all been a change in my own mind, in my own sense of self. That was a compelling event for me, to see that and recognize that the energy that I put out based on what I feel for myself changes what is brought into my circumference and those that I want to associate with. This will be true for you too. So follow these steps. Get yourself some help. Identify your weak areas. Build yourself up with strength. Find your value. And you will now be able to find a relationship that is meaningful, not messed up with the mistakes of your past. I really believe this. And there's research behind it that can show you it's true. So check it out, follow it. And you know what? If this is something you're struggling with, you might want to look at my video that's coming up next, How to Heal from a Broken Heart After a Divorce. You might want to check that out. Like, subscribe, follow, comment. I would love to hear from you, know what you have done to overcome your struggles in your failed relationships. I am James Burnham. Thanks for joining me.